Good morning from Dallas, Texas. It's time for a new book review again. It's January 28th, 2008, and I have had a pretty interesting week in Boston, Massachusetts. And next week I will be a couple of nights in Chicago and the rest of the week in Mexico City, which is going to be really interesting. This week I received 3 books from Amazon.com. The first book is Why Smart Companies Do Dumb Things, Avoiding 8 Common Mistakes in a New Product Development. And this book really has to do with stuff that have been part of for the last 20 years. How not to build products and how to segment your product into the right markets. There's a lot of good cases, a lot of good examples of companies that we all know of, and how they have been able to kind of miss the marketplace, not understanding to renew their product strategy. That's one book that I ordered. The other one that came through the mail is, it's a pretty old one though, Harvard Business Review on supply chain management, because I'm working on large-scale data warehousing and business intelligence projects. So it's kind of good to do an update on different vertical domains, and this has a pretty good few articles that is of interest to me. And the last one is a real interesting book that has to do with globalization and about the risks of doing business in different countries. It's Global Edge by Joel Kurtzman and Glenn Yago. And when I kind of browse the book, it kind of gives you an idea of what type of risks, such as corruption, such as other typical risks with currencies, etc., that you have to take into consideration when doing business on a global basis. Highly recommended, and as far as I see, it's a book that I'm going to read. And I got my book finalized during this week on my trip, and I would be tempted to say that this is by far the best book that I have read this year, 2008. The Breakthrough Company: How Everyday Companies Become Extraordinary Performers. It's by Keith R. McFarland, and what really makes this book interesting, it analyzes, I believe it was almost 7,000 entrepreneurial type of organizations with that has really broken through the entrepreneurial stage. They put a filter where the company could be more than $2 billion, but it had to be $250 million. The kind of the foundation for this research are the books from Jim Collins, Good to Great and Built to Last. And while the McFarland's book is for smaller companies, I believe the average size of the companies that Jim Collins went through was $32 billion. So if you compare these two different company sizes, there's a tremendous difference. So you know, when I look at my business and my aims, you know, this book from McFarland is definitely something that I highly recommend for people that are building up a company. So it makes a lot of sense to read, and it's a brand new one. I just run into it. I believe I found it in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. As from my previous weekly notes, there's a lot of travel that I'm doing, and I have the pleasure of being here in Dallas, Texas for this weekend. I'm currently working on my next upcoming book, and very excited about it. So stay tuned, and once I get back from Mexico City next Saturday night, I'll do a new posting on Sunday. Take care and have a good week.